Before I turn you over to Dustin, if you have forgotten who I am, I try to stay in the background as much as I can. You've seen me running in and out of the building a lot, or the room a lot, because we're trying to be managers of everything that happens. So I want to introduce my co-director for this grant and my partner for the last 13 years, and someone that I have such enormous respect for. We would not be in this room together if it was not for the work of the gentleman I want to introduce you to, and that is Dr. Zhenping Shen from Western.
Well, thank you so much. It's so nice to see you all, and I saw many familiar faces in the audience, which is great. My former colleagues, former students, current students, which is great. When I was driving here, I was thinking, if I had to give an elevator speech, what should I say? Since we're at the very beginning of the project, so I would just say thank you. So I want to thank you in 3 ways. First, I want to thank Pat and also the team at Western. Pat, Lisa, Dustin, myself, and others. We have a small team at Western kind of running the project. And Pat has also very artfully put a coordinating team here. We usually meet here in the Beltline here on this campus. And that's really the coordinating team. And these are the folks give us a lot of help in planning the implementation side of the whole project. And the third thing is to thank you all. And you are the implementation facilitators. So you can see like the concentric circles from small to getting big and even bigger. So you are a link to the field, to the school. So the title for the grant is High Impact Leadership for School Renewal. And we're so glad to be on the same journey with you. And we will work together in the next 5 years. 3 years first, and hopefully we'll be renewed for the 4th and the 5th. So look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Let's set things up for Dustin very quickly. You know we're funded by a major federal grant. And in order to secure one of these grants, you have to have a very rigorous design for a research evaluation of the project. We have researchers at another university who we have to subcontract that out. We can't evaluate our own work. We have to do, okay. So we have 2 overarching measures that we're going to be evaluated on. The positive change over time of student literacy in the schools we serve, yay, and the positive growth in leadership capacity. So we have to have some good data to start with, and then we'll be collecting data as we go through the project. So what we're going to do today is talk to you about the first round of data we're going to collect, and we need you to be our facilitators of that work as well. And I just want to explain to you that the instruments that we're going to use to collect that data are instruments that are in a survey form. You'll get a chance to see what that looks like in a minute. And these instruments are all validated through several rounds of research projects that Dr. Shen has led and that I've participated with him on. So these instruments are very carefully vetted and validated and have been shown to be reliable measures and valid measures of leadership capacity in previous research projects. Okay. Now, not only are we collecting this data for the external evaluation, but the principals will be able to request a report for their school to help them profile the current situation of their school and their school's growth. In no cases will they ever see anybody's individual response. So I'm going to turn it over to Dustin, and he will explain this a little further.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. I've met some of you in the room, but I haven't met everybody. I'm Dustin Anderson, and I've been really fortunate to actually work under Dr. Reeves through my doctoral program, and that has brought me to this work and to this position. I'm really excited for a couple reasons. One is I've just always had this natural tendency to wonder why things work or don't work, and the complexity of the work that you're about to do is through the roof. So it's going to be fun to actually, I'll just say this. I think the knowledge of understanding the complexity is in this room, and I'm going to try and tap that. So you will be getting some emails from me, some requests of what expertise you guys have. I've already talked to a few people, and I'm going to start some conversations. But you know, I'm really interested in knowing what you guys are doing and what's working and what's not working, and if those things can be detected on a large scale, that really helps us understand any scale of efforts that we do. So I apologize, but I really like data. I was told not to use that word data and use information instead, so I'll do my best. But you guys know how complex this is, so we are going to do our best to understand and capture everything that you guys are learning. So heads up. For the external evaluation, like Dr. Reese said, we're looking for growth on literacy scores and student literacy scores and leadership capacity within the school. So the first step is to get baseline data so that we can see where schools are growing and then be able to detect why they're growing around leadership, just like we would with student literacy scores. So what you have already been handed are directions for administering the teacher survey, directions for administrating the principal survey, and then also the teacher survey that you will be administrating. For most people, I put the directions for administering the teacher survey on top and the principal survey on bottom, but some of them got switched because I was trying to get rid of the guessing. So what this is going to look like is when you are matched with a school, and some of you are already matched with a school, and so we already have a packet that looks like this for you, large white envelope. And I just want to dissect what's in this packet for you so you can see it visually. It's written in the directions, but I just want you to be sure and confident as you go into the process, because this is sensitive. When you're collecting information, there's just other factors that play in. Is this going to be evaluative? Who else is going to see this? So Dr. Reeves has already mentioned, these are not for teacher surveys are not for principal eyes. Principal surveys are not for district administrator eyes. So some of these things we need you to feel really confident on so you can be very assuring. We want you to cultivate an environment that is seeking to understand their ability and also protect them at the same time. So, so that's why we have this procedure as I'm going to outline now. So inside that big white envelope, we have FedEx envelope. I'll talk about that in a second. We have one manila envelope for the principal survey. In here are the directions that you have in your hand, also the principal survey. And you will set up a time with the principal to conduct this survey. It was one person survey. It's important that you're there, however, because there are directions on that, on the administering the survey, the principal survey protocol. It's important that we follow this protocol so that all principals are getting the same message. So just standardization of the test, just like we all have standardized tests. This just helps us standardize it and ensures that every principal is getting the same condition under which to take this survey. Same with the teacher survey. In here, there are, the top sheet is the directions for administering the teacher survey. Great. Please read this carefully. It helps you understand some of the points that we've already discussed here, and will grow your confidence in being able to talk about it. Another key point in this is just defining what a teacher is. It's a teacher is a school employee who is on a teaching contract full-time and in this school for more than 50% of his or her time. So when you have more than just teachers at a staff meeting, then you need to explain who is eligible to take the survey and who is not. This, there is also on the front part of the survey a consent to participate form. Teachers don't have to participate. It's their choice. We need to help them understand that and help them feel safe so that, I mean, we want them to, but we want them to understand that this is something that they are giving us consent to use their information by signing it and handing it in. All this is in the directions. There's script italicized for what we want you to say as you administer the survey. So after you set the date with the principal and come in front of the staff, cultivate that environment, but also please read this so that we can have some certainty that everybody's getting this information consistently. And when, I did forget one other piece of information, when you, as a facilitator, collect these surveys back, you will put them in this envelope. It's going to take me too long to get it in there. So, but close it up and then seal it and sign on the seal. And do this in front of the teachers so that they understand that you're really going to ship this straight to University of Kentucky and not open this up later for the principal to see. So, and the University of Kentucky is going to be looking for that signature along the sealed top of the envelope. Same with the principal survey, though for the principal survey, the principal signs it and inserts it into the envelope. Directions are again in the directions for administering the principal survey. And I don't believe I'm missing anything, but I definitely would be open up for questions really quick. Yeah?
What kind of a time allotment did you make?
Great question. I'm sorry I didn't mention this. We were thinking 25, 30 minutes for this whole process of a staff meeting. So you're looking at half a staff meeting to conduct the survey. It took, I think, around 15, 20 minutes to take the survey. That's our best estimate, it's 15, 20 minutes to take the survey itself. So, and it's really important that we don't have missing data. That's almost as bad as them not consenting. In fact, it's probably worse. So make sure that they have plenty, do everything you can to make sure they have plenty of time to take it and complete it. So if it's given with 10 minutes left of the staff meeting, we might invalidate the results. So,
There may be in the directions, but is the administrator in the room then when the teachers are taking or is it a separate administration for their survey and the teacher's survey?
You can probably do it either way, but most importantly, the teachers need to feel safe. So it's probably a conversation that you need to have with the principal ahead of time. Just say, I'm going to be collecting these. Exiting the room if you think that that's necessary, or at least staying in your seat, or giving a word of encouragement to the staff saying, I really need to know where I need to grow so that you guys can do the good work that you need to do.
And I think it'll be really nice if you let the principal see the survey before you make the appointment with the staff to do it. Let the principal spend some time looking at that survey and studying it, because it's about the leadership work of the school. And so, yes, the principal owns that to a great degree, but they also share it with everyone in the school. So it's about us, not just about me as the principal.
One, two, three.
Timeline for having the survey completed by and mailed?
Great question. We're hoping that as you get into the school, you can take part in a staff meeting in March, early April, and conduct this. The sooner the better. Preferably before you really have an impact on the results of this survey. That's probably most important. Yes?
Will the teachers have access to the information of the survey?
Yeah, so teachers will have access. So let me just understand access. Do you mean will they be able to get their results back?
I think I could hear in the staff meeting, can we see the results?
Okay, So the results of the teacher survey identified by teachers will not be released. So they will be kept confidential at University of Kentucky.
Even to them? Even to the
So
teachers themselves?
we have permission from the University of Kentucky. They will provide the principal an aggregated report for their school. And we feel that part of the trust with the principal is that it's up to them to request the aggregated report, and it's up to them to decide how to use that report, and whether or not to engage their staff. You know, in a perfect world, we want that principal to grow comfortable in their relationship with the staff, that it becomes our data, not just my data. But every principal is going to be in a different place there. So it's up to the principal to decide whether they want to request an aggregate report, and where and how they want to use that report, and to what degree they want to use it with their whole staff.
And when she says principal, the principal, not the district administrator, not the teachers, the principal. So, and I don't believe we've gotten permission to give individual teachers their results back, but they don't have any need for that. But yeah, I'm sorry, 3.
My question was the same. I wondered if they would receive a summary or results or whatever from the surveys that I've had.
Okay, great. I saw 1, 2.
Aaron, and then back here.
Bob, okay.
Will the facilitators of the building have access to that report as well, or just the principal?
If the principal, we really want the principal and the leadership team to make a lot of these decisions. You're building capacity within them to want to seek data, and they may not be ready to request, a principal might not be ready to request that, but we want to give them the power to, I don't know, hold on, unless I'm being corrected.
So we have permission to use the aggregated data in our workshops with you. So the management coordinating team has permission to use that data when we do workshops with you. Okay? So we'll have aggregated reports that we can work with within our workshops. We're not going to hand you those reports to take out there into the broad world. Okay?
How much time will elapse before the results are available?
Dr. Shannon?
Would it be like M-STEP where you get like what time?
What do you think? 2 months? We'll try for 2 months. Thank you for that question.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's a question for you or possibly you. The question, when we're just getting to know, you want it done in March or early April, and we're just getting to know these stats, is there a certain indicator you want us to look for before we say, hey, now we want you to take a survey?
Yeah, so I think that's an excellent question. We don't want you to sacrifice that building a good working relationship from the beginning to rush to get this done. You know, our perfect world is by end of March, early April at the latest, before everybody starts taking off for spring break. But if something happens that you get started late, or something delays you, or you're just not feeling that it's right, I'm going to talk about this next. You will all be assigned to a specific coordinator, and you can talk about that with your coordinator. That's one of the things we're here for, is to say, okay, how can we help you with this challenge? So if there's anything that's not feeling right about proceeding with trying to get this accomplished, you'll talk to your coordinator. And by March 2, when we have our next workshop, which comes up right away at the end of next week, we will have you all assigned to a coordinator, and you'll know exactly who to talk to.
And I'm gonna vocalize my inner Doug really quick, because I really believe this. We don't want the evaluation to get in the way of any good work. So it's, however I push to have you get something done, or if I say sometime like, hey, where's your survey? Where's your survey? Please don't. The integrity of your work is far more important, and that delay that you feel is necessary and you've talked to a coordinator and they feel is necessary, that's important information. That's data for us. So, so that's what I'm gonna leave you with, is pushy as you feel I'm being, I don't want you to sacrifice the integrity of your work. So,
You can count on us to protect you, right?
yeah, right. I don't want Dorothy coming after me. Oh, absent teachers, it's just gonna be missing data, I believe. And that's just unfortunate. So anything you can do to I was a coach, so a lot of my staff meetings, I went to the following day. Anything you can do to persuade everybody to be there would be fantastic. Fortunately, elementary school is not as many athletic coaches, but there's gonna be plenty.
And you use your judgment, because, you know, if there's a couple people there the next day that you're in the school and you were able to capture them because they couldn't be there, you can always add their data, but just follow the protocol. Don't deviate from the protocol on how to do it.
Yeah.
Don't let 3, 4, 5 weeks go by between, you know, if after a couple days you haven't been able to recapture those lost teachers, then that's just lost data.
Does it matter if they use pencil, ink?
I don't believe pencil or ink matters, will matter. So,
Dustin, a lot of our schools have long-term subs in positions because we're so short on teachers. By that definition, they would not be taking this.
long-term substitute teachers would, or guest teachers would not be taking this. Yes?
Did you say that in the beginning, though, them signing off, is that optional?
Yes, this is an optional part, it's optional participation. So we don't want to encourage them not to participate.
Right.
But we do, you know, just general research and guidelines mandate that we make sure that they know that they're giving consent for us to use this data.
Okay, so there's some teachers and then they opt out.
If a teacher so on the back of the directions, there's a line that says number of teachers. That's the total number of teachers. That's not how many of these surveys you collect. Because if you have 20, this school, it's written on the front of the white folder. Verona Elementary, actually from this one. They're given 23 surveys. That means they have maybe 21 teachers and just a couple extra in case we were off. If only 15 teachers, if you only get 15 back, then you're still right, how many, 21 teachers, but then we just get 15 surveys back.
And then are they signing a consent form either way? Like what, the ones that opt out, I see this, and this appears to be one if you're taking the survey, correct?
Yep.
So are they signing something to not take the survey?
They don't have to sign anything if they choose
If
not.
they're not taking, okay, and then do we indicate if there are long-term subs in the building? So by the building of 23, you don't care why they opt out, you'll just know 15 teachers took it?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you do have some teachers that are not going to be available to take it to the next day, does that warrant a whole new envelope with a new address and a new signature on the outside? They
Probably should.
Yeah,
Okay.
that,
So like a new FedEx envelope too, or
So how
then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because you have to sign and seal it, or seal it and sign it. So you'd have to just come up with another envelope for the next day and just put a new date on it.
And then
Sign and seal those.
And then we can facilitate picking it up somehow from you, just as long as you, in your judgment, know that the teachers are comfortable and you're getting that extra information. That's fantastic.
So if you know that you're going to be collecting some more data over the next day or two, don't seal your FedEx envelope until you get both envelopes, all envelopes in.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here and for participating with us. And we're very excited.
We would, we've had such a rich day that it's not a surprise that we're now starting to watch the clock a little bit. And so we're not going to do the processing today. which might be a good. I think this slide presentation, we're going to send you a link to this and all the materials for today. And so you may want to just spend some time reading the survey, thinking about it, and use these reflection questions. And we'll come back to this conversation again, probably not on March 2nd, but we'll come back to it again. Because these instruments really do delve into some important aspects of leadership capacity, and it'd be great to have you have a chance to really think about that and think about how that relates to your work. But we're going to move forward now to the thing that you probably need to know most of all. In your packet, after the materials on the survey, you have you have additional documents that start with a document called Facilitator Guide for Getting Started. Okay. Now, before I get you into this, I also want to make sure on the table when you came in this morning, there was a document called Facilitator Work Record. Would you pull that out? If you don't have it, there's more here. So you need this Facilitator Work Record. Raise your hand if you don't have it. I bet you Diane would help you.
That's why I had to put them in a pile.
Facilitator Work Record.
No, I don't think so. Order of importance. They were all I would need to come up with something right away. Yeah.
What I'm going to talk about is what you see on the slides is also on the Facilitator Guide for Getting Started, which is the packet that you had in your hand while Dustin was talking. So let me just quickly kind of walk you through our thinking. We did not want to hold you up from getting started, but we also don't want you to send you off without at least a menu of things you can focus on in these first few weeks. So here's some possible menu items for you, some of which you may have already done. One of which is verify that you are confirmed with a school. And if you know you are today, then you're going to go home feeling pretty happy and secure. If you think you might be confirmed with a school today, but you're waiting for that confirmation, would you make sure that you let one of the facilitators know that you're uncertain about whether you're confirmed or not? And then there's probably about 8 to 10 people who are still needing to be linked with a school, that we haven't even gotten the conversation far enough to say you're partially confirmed. We think we know who you are, but if you're concerned about that, then again, see one of the facilitators if you need to talk about your status. I will also be available as soon as we finish today to talk about your status if you have questions, okay? For those of you who are confirmed, and those of you who get confirmed over the next 5 to 7 days, by March 2, we're hoping there's just no questions left, that we've got everybody matched, okay? These are some of the things that you can be focusing on. In your first contacts, maybe you need to get acquainted, so you might want to start with an email. You may need a get acquainted visit. And you certainly have had lots of conversation today and the day you were with Carolyn about that get acquainted process. You don't need to go any further on that if you've got a lot to draw from. You know, as you get into the school, our motto should be seek first to understand. Of course, they're going to be curious, so we don't want to say, well, my job's to understand you, I can't answer your questions. So it's going to be a conversation, isn't it? It's going to be you understanding what they're thinking, what they need to know, what they're hoping that you can help them do. And they're going to need to get some more understanding from you about what the work is going to be. So it's going to be reciprocal. But some of the things that you want to kind of be able to talk about when you come back to facilitator workshops is what have you learned so far about their literacy status? What have you learned so far about their goals and their plans and all the different initiatives? One red flag for all of us should be, how many different initiatives are they trying to implement all at once? So one of our workshops together will be on how do we help these schools bring what appears to be separate initiatives together in one more aligned effort. But we need to know what those initiatives are. What they think their needs are, their ideas for how you can help, the key roles and responsibilities of the people in the school. So you're looking for, who's playing a leadership role? What kind of leadership work are they doing? Who are the hidden capacity folks, the people who sort of stay behind the scenes, but they're the ones that are moving things along? We really want to figure out who those folks are. We certainly want to know what they understand about the HIL project and what more we need to do to help them understand, knowing full well that it's going to take the rest of the school year for this all to gel and for everything to sort of settle into mutual understanding. We don't need to rush this. We've got the rest of the year to get through that first really solid way of them understanding how we can be of help to them and us understanding where their needs are and how they want to move forward. Starting to meeting and get to know the staff, you can go whatever pace seems to be right for you, getting to know the staff. Some of you might be sensitive about your first time in front of the staff if you're asking for the survey data. So maybe you show up at other staff events just to get to know people before you try to do the surveys. Arranging for you and the principal to begin to meet with various stakeholder groups, and keep in mind that central office may or may not have much focus on this right now. So, we don't want to be going to central office around our principals, but we want to be there with our principals to have conversation with central office as needed about what are we doing together. And sometimes eventually down the road, maybe what is it the central office might be able to do to support us in this work. Identifying the 3 teacher leaders is really going to be an important early part of the process. And one of the things that we hope you will convey is that to the degree possible, we hope the principal and you will think about all the capacity in the school. Think about teachers who maybe haven't been tapped yet for leadership roles. And keep an eye to diversity, please. One of the things that I think is an important part of the policy behind this big grant is that the federal government wants to be able to support the inclusion of a much more diverse array of people and capacities and talents and backgrounds and cultures, because that's who our schools are. So, look around this room, folks. In a perfect world in 5 years, if we started from scratch and gathered people together like you, maybe we wouldn't look so homogenous, okay? So, and it's not just how we look, but it's also our backgrounds, our experiences. So please, whatever you can do, let's encourage some conversation about the importance of diversity in the school leadership. And if we can't get diversity from within the staff, how down the road might we draw upon our stakeholders and our students and our parents to share leadership, and is that a way to get more voices and more perspectives into the work? So I really want you to be thoughtful about that point. We'll have conversations in future workshops about issues of inclusion and about issues of poverty and privilege and power. Those are all going to be issues that we're going to have some really good conversations about. We talked about the surveys. If the instructional rounds have been completed, you definitely will want to get a copy of it, of the report, and have dialogue with the principal and the teachers about that. And then, in addition to recruiting these 3 teacher leaders, not just in the beginning, but throughout this project, help the teacher, the principal and these other teacher leaders cultivate and generate broad leadership across the school, so that that leadership quotient just keeps going up and up and up, okay? That's all right. And then, you know, over time, you don't have to do this in a formal way, but there may be times when you do need to have a little formal conversation that helps orient the principal, the teacher leaders, and the staff to the HIL project. Okay. All right, so part of getting started too is to make sure your calendar works according to what we're hoping we can accomplish with you between now and the end of September 30th. Why September 30th? Academic year ends June 30th for school districts. Federal government ends September 30th. Okay.
Can I ask
Yes.
a quick question about the dates? And it's probably my mistake. I have October 5th and 6th. Did I just put it on the wrong month? Because those were the days Carolyn was coming.
We have September 5 and 6.
Okay, then
I would ask my team in the back there to correct me if
Okay, it's probably me, but I just
Okay.
want to make sure. I do that sometimes.
Everything that we've done with you today, by the way, we're in the process of setting up places you can go to get everything electronically. So right after this workshop, you'll get an instruction from Lisa on where you can go to gather all the materials we've shared with you from the orientation in December, the January session with Carolyn, and this session. And then where you can, that will be a place you can go on an ongoing way. Okay? But these dates are really important, and you'll notice in a couple of cases, there will be an either or. So for instance, we're hoping to get one summit with the principals and teacher leaders and all of you in August on either the 14th or 15th. So for right now, if you could hold both on your calendar. And then the one in June is another summit. Okay, that's the 21st. That is a change in date. I think we gave you a different date originally, so you may want to note that change. And then April 23rd, right here, this date, April 23rd, is also a summit date. That's where principals and teacher leaders are coming together.
Are there repeats of those summits so that if you're supporting multiple schools that you could attend with each of those buildings, or what might that look
The
like?
first summit will be, we'll try to make sure all your schools go to one summit. So the first one will be everybody. We're gonna have about 350 people, 400 people together in one place. The second one might also be everybody. And then we are gonna probably shift back and forth between groups of 25 or so schools and the whole group. But we'll always try to get you with your schools clustered together. The exception would be if you're a facilitator working way up north but also way down south. It might be we have to build in an extra day for you if we can't get you all. But for the most part, it'll all be on one day.
And for the ISD early literacy coaches, we have trainings already in August. Yes. The 14th, 15th, and 16th in Traverse City.
Oh, goody.
So
Okay,
those are dates we know are not going to.
What you can
not for
do
everybody,
right
but for
now
a few
is
of us.
to email Lisa with any conflicts that you know would make it so that your principal and your teacher leaders and you could not attend one of those summit dates, okay? That would really be helpful if you let Lisa know that. Then I wanted to carry you into September, so you're going to have about 15 days possible that you can be in the school between this moment and the end of the school year. Now, some of that might include a couple days you're in the school after the teachers and the students leave, okay? There might be some wrap-up things you can help the principal with. So to get in your 15 days, you may have to talk to your coordinator if you have a hard time getting in your 15 days. In the fall, in September, before we start a new year, you'll have 4 more days that you can get into the school for each school, plus those workshop days. For your first contract, you will be contracted from this moment through September 30th, and that equals 33 days. Can you? Yeah, thank you. So that all adds up to 33 days. Your compensation is at the rate of $500 a day. Some of you, if you're full-time employees, that money just gets sent to your employer to put against the cost of employing you. We do not pay more because you're a full-time employee and you get health care or whatever. That's something you have to work out with your employer. If you're retired and being employed under MIPSR's requirements as a part-timer, then if you are like me and you retired before 2010, they will not have to deduct any MIPSR's rate for you. But if you retired after 2010, depending on which retirement category and which year you retired in, there will be some deduction for MIPSR's. It's not the full rate. And when you meet with your ISD that's going to employ you, they will tell you where you fit and what your deduction is going to be. And they also are required to deduct FICA, the employer's portion of FICA, which is nice because you don't have to then pay the employer's portion of FICA. So, but you are going to lose you're going to lose some to that MIPSR's rate for most of you, and there's nothing we can do to avoid that. We will have more conversation on March 2, but that is at least going to get you started. Then the other thing that you have in front of you that I asked you to all make sure you had is this HIL Project Facilitator Work Record. Lisa will be sending you a link to this as a Google Doc, a Google form. And this is part of us being accountable for our federal reporting. But we did it in such a way that what you're providing us gives us great data. So it should take you about 5 minutes at the end of any day. We would ask you before you leave the school, just go into your computer, bookmark this link for this report, and it's very simple. All you have to do is fill it out and just check all the things that apply to what happened that day. And if anything doesn't seem to, you don't know how to interpret anything on here, all you have to do is let Lisa know and we'll help you with it. And I think that's it for now. What questions do you have? For today, no. Oh, that's a really good question. This is only required for the days you're in the schools. For the days you're with us or at the summits, you don't have to complete this because we have a record of what we did the days you're with us. But you do need to complete this each and every day that you're in the schools.
If we miss a training day, is that $500 taken off? Is that?
The ISDs are agreeing to pay you. There's 3 of them, Van Buren, Kent, and Ottawa. Want it as simple as possible. So if you cannot fulfill all the dates, please work with your coordinator for alternatives for how you earn your keep. Okay?
We are filming all of these, and so the requirement would be that we would ask you to watch that, and we would talk to you about what your takeaways were every class.
There will be a process by which we can help you if you have to miss. That said, do everything you can to attend and be part of everything that is on the schedule.
Who's the expectation, so on the 33 days, 33 full days?
Yeah. So we all know that a full school day for kids is about 6 hours, give or take. For staff, it's about 7 hours or 8, depending on what district you're in. For principals, it might be 20. We're not going to ask you we're not going to quibble with you about, this day you were there for 6 hours, that day you were there for 7, one day you were there for 3, but then maybe you stayed for an evening event another day. we have vetted all of you very carefully. We know what kind of people you are. You're gonna give full value, okay?
I'm just kind of wondering about this, so, you know, if we were in a building for 3 hours on a given day, and then another day we were there for 4 hours.
This form in Google Docs also has a part that you're not seeing here. And the part you're not seeing here has a list of number of hours, and you just click the one that applies to how many hours you were there that day. Thank you for that question.
For those of us that are already allocating days for the next, for 18, 19, do you have an idea of how many days it'll be after September 30th?
Yeah, from October 1 of 2018 through September 30th of 2019, you will earn $22,000 and you will put in a total of 44 days.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah, here's some water for
Oh,
you.
thank you.
And remember, we have our parking lot list, so if there are any other questions, let's write those down on a Post-it and get them back there. It's one of the first things we'll take care of when we meet next Friday, March 2nd, okay, in K-Recess. So we're gonna see each other next Friday. So please put those down, or any things you're thinking about, so that the facilitators can have their questions answered, okay?
Lisa has been out of the room most of the day preparing these packets of surveys for you. Lisa, do you have anything you want to say to them about, are you going to let out any of the packets today, or how do you want to do that?
If you, yeah, I would say yes, I'm comfortable with you taking the packets with the survey instruments in them. If you're gonna be, if some of you are in your schools already, somebody who couldn't be here today, for example, is having a meeting with their school on Friday and really wanted to get that in her hand. So if you're definitely matched to the school and you're definitely meeting with your schools this week, I'd like you to take them with you. And I'm just going to be making a note of everybody that's taking them. If we're still more uncertain and you don't feel like there's a pressing need to have it in your hands before next Friday, then you can leave them and we'll distribute them next Friday as well. But I would like to get them out as much as possible. And then obviously, once you take it, you're responsible for it. You know, and it's got the FedEx shipping label in there, and once you collect all the data, you're going to just drop it in a FedEx Express, deliver it to either a FedEx office or a FedEx Express, what's the right word? Kiosk, if you will. Yeah, and then it will be delivered. It's 3-day express. So, and it doesn't matter. I confirmed with FedEx that, you know, even though I already paid for the shipping labels, there's no time limit as to when they have to be shipped. So, but I'm sure Dustin mentioned that our goal is to have all this data collected by the end of March. So we need to keep that in mind when we're planning with the school.
Early April. Wow, what a full day. It's been a lot of fun. We started by playing some volleyball this morning, and we came all the way to the end of our day today. Here's some things just for cleanup. And one reflection. We started our day saying learning is I'm trying my principal voice. Learning is a permanent change in thinking or behavior. So as you're driving home tonight, or you're thinking about your learning today, what is something that you used to think, and what do you think now? What is something that you used to do when you worked with groups, and what might you do now? And next Friday, we'll make sure that we gather up and reflect on the learning today and how that's going to help us go forward. Would you please make sure that all the markers and the manila bags are in the center so we have all the sharps? Clean up any of the goodies that you have there.
Do like a planning session, yeah.
And we'll see you next Friday, March 2nd. Thank you.
They were actually,
I know.
no, it's not. I'm sorry. Oh, that's okay.
You're not gonna be there.